Hey Saints, Pastor Dave here with another weekly devotional for you. This one is going to start with a reading from C.S. Lewis from his collected works, and this is an excerpt from Mere Christianity. And our topic today is failure. The main thing we learn from a serious attempt to practice the Christian virtues is that we fail. If there was any idea that God had set us a sort of exam and that we might get good marks by deserving them, that has to be wiped out. If there was any idea of a sort of bargain, any idea that we could perform our side of the contract and thus put God in our debt so that it was up to him in mere justice to perform his side, that has to be wiped out. I think everyone who has some vague belief in God until he becomes a Christian has the idea of an exam or of a bargain in his mind. The first result of real Christianity is to blow that idea into bits. When they find it blown to bits, some people think this means that Christianity is a failure and give up. They seem to imagine that God is very simple-minded. In fact, of course, he knows all about this. One of the very things Christianity was designed to do was to blow this idea into bits. God has been waiting for the moment at which you discover that there is no question of earning a pass mark in this exam or putting him in your debt. I'd say as a pastor, that is probably one of the hardest things to do. Help people recognize what Christianity is and what it is not. Because so many of us have this sense that this religion is all about understanding God's expectations for us so that we can live up to them, so that God will be happy with us and reward us by letting us go to heaven. Seriously, that is in simple terms what so many people want out of a religion is the rule book, so that they know how to earn their ticket to the good afterlife rather than the bad one. And that really is not what Christianity is. That is not the focus and not the goal of this religion. The fact of the matter is, as Lewis said, we cannot earn that ticket. We cannot follow God's rules closely enough. We cannot live a life that is righteous enough, that is holy enough to earn a reward. We simply can't do it. The actual message of Christianity is that knowing that that is true, we should be in despair, and yet God has redeemed us anyway. There is a solution to the fact of our sin, the fact of our inability to live up to God's standards. And that solution is Jesus Christ, his sacrifice on the cross, his atoning death for our sin. Because through Jesus, we receive as a gift what we could not earn for ourselves. That is so hard for us. I remember, as a child, I was a pretty good student. I loved getting good grades. I loved getting A's on everything I did. I loved getting a perfect score if I could. And on a lot of math and science kind of tests, I could. When there were clear answers, there was an obvious right and wrong. A lot of the time, I could get a perfect score. When it comes to our life of faith, there is no perfect score except for Jesus. And while we might think, we do good enough, maybe we'll get a B plus, maybe we're, above average, we can get across that line. It simply doesn't work that way. It requires God's grace to get us all the way home. Thanks be to God for that good news, saints. Now, I hope that is something that doesn't come as a shock to you, but still, I imagine it is something that is hard for you just as it is for me to consistently remind myself. I'm not doing this in order to win God's approval. And maybe we'll talk a little more next week about why we are doing this. That's your devotional for this week, Saints. Hope it's helpful, and I hope you are doing well. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.